this is Mr. Bo from MrBoEnglish.com. We are doing the quadratics unit in Khan Academy, and we're in the solving quadratics by factoring lesson. This is the second video, number 2. The first one was quadratics by factoring intro, which was really pretty simple, easy factoring. We're going to get a little bit more difficult, but it's still going to be the same thing. We're going to combine our skills that we already know about factoring and zero product property. We're going to put them together, and we're going to solve quadratic equations that way. Exciting stuff. All right, so you can see this this problem is a little bit more difficult than what we had in our intro. Whoops. So it's 2x squared minus 40x plus 200 is equal to 0. First thing I want to do is I'm going to notice that I can have a greatest common factor here and pull out x squared, pull out 2. So I have x squared minus 20x plus 100. And so I want factors of 100 that lead to negative 20. So let's see. I have 10 times 10, and I have negative 10 times negative 10, and I have 5 times 20, and I have negative 5. Hey, this is positive. Right? It is negative times negative 20. Let's see, we've got 4 times 25 and negative 4 times negative 25. Is that it? 2. 2 times 50 and negative 2 times negative 50. And we want the ones that add up to be negative 20. That's going to be these right here. All right, so we're going to end up with 2 times x minus 10 squared is equal to 0. I'm going to divide by 2. Or I could use the zero product property. I'm going to end up with x minus 10 is equal to 0, so x is equal to 10. Let's substitute, see if that's right. 100 times 2 is 200 minus 400 plus 200 is equal to 0, so that's right. Okay, I always teach my students, go back and substitute. If you think there's a chance that you're wrong, go back, substitute, do some kind of check. Look for things to make sure you didn't get a negative wrong, didn't do something. So, all right, let's look at our second one here. Just going to grind through this. We got 4 problems. Okay, so our next one is 4x squared plus 40x plus 84 equals 0. Again, I want to see, I've got that 4 here, so I've got 4 times x squared plus 10x plus 21 equals 0. And so I need factors of 21 that add together to be 10. Let's see, I've got 1 and 21, and I've got 3 and 7. 3 and 7 add up to be 10, so those are my factors. So 4 times x plus 3 times x plus 7 is equal to 0, and so I know x plus 3 equals 0, or I know x plus 7 equals 0, and we saw that in the zero product property video from before. So a smaller one is going to be, I didn't solve, x equals negative 3 or x equals negative 7. So the smaller one is going to be more negative, and a lot of my students have problems with this when they come in. And they'll look at 3 and 7, and 3 looks smaller, but if we put these on a number line, I have negative 3 and I have negative 7, and one of those is farther to the left, and that means it's a smaller number, and that is the negative 7. Negative 7 is the more negative number, so it is smaller. And I know that that's confusing for a lot of students. Something we have to really kind of get used to about negative numbers, because negative numbers are not really, they're not natural numbers. Obviously, natural numbers are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and they're not numbers that that we kind of use in our day-to-day life. We can't do math without them. Math is like super important, but they're not intuitive. It means that you can't really see a negative number in your head. So when we get stuff like that in math, we have to spend a lot of time getting used to it. Let's go ahead and look at our next one. Solve for x. I'm sorry, I'm busy talking today. I'm a talkative guy today. 5x squared plus 60x plus 180 equals 0. I'm going to identify, I can pull out a 5 here. I got greatest common factor. Plus, what is that, 36? 36, yes, that's right. So, I have the factors of 36 that add to 12, and right away I'm going to say 6 times 6, and 6 times 6 is 12. So there we go. So I have 5 times x plus 6 squared, x plus 6 times x plus 6 is equal to 0. And from zero product property, I'm going to know x plus 6 is equal to 0, because 5 is not 0, so this has to be 0. So x is equal to negative 6. So we have one answer, and that is negative 6. Okay, and we have one more problem in this set. Okay, and again, I'll see I can pull out that 2, so they're really working on that one this time. Minus 12x plus 27 is equal to 0, so what factors do I want? I want factors of 27. And what sum do I want? I want the sum of negative 12. So 27 is negative 3 times negative 9, 3 times 9, that's about it, 1 times 27, and negative 1 times negative 27, and that's about it. So obviously our negative 12 comes from this one, so we have 2 times x minus 3 times x minus 9 is equal to 0. So from zero product property, I know that's 0 or that's 0. So I have x minus 3 equals 0, or x minus 9 equals 0. So x is equal to 3, or x is equal to 9. So then I have two numbers, smaller one first. These are not negative, so it's a lot easier to understand. And there we go. And that's our second video in quadratics by factoring. You guys should be through this one really fast. If you're doing this stuff and you get a 60%, or well, we won't get a 60% here. You get a 50% on this one, or a 75%. Do it again. Do it again until you get 100 before you move on. Okay. Get Khan. I like Khan's model. Khan teaches us to master, to get really good at the skill before we move to the next skill. And if we're really, really good at that skill and we move to the next skill, then that next skill will be kind of easy, really kind of easy to get. It's just like a little step by little step by little step. But if we're not so great, then we're basically building a house on a level that's not strong, and it's going to be hard. So take your time and get this one right, even though it's 4 questions and it seems fast. If you get 75, you'll be like, oh, that's good enough, that's okay. Go back and get 100. Go back and get 100, do it right, and make sure that you, when we get to the next step, you're ready for it. So, all right, if you have any more questions, go ahead and get a hold of us on MrBoEnglish.com. Mr. Bo English รับสอนนักเรียนตั้งแต่ป .3 ขึ้นไปทางอินเทอร์เน็ตในสไตล์ EP ครับผู้สนใจช่วยติดต่อครูแจง หรือไปเว็บไซต์ที่ www.mrboenglish.com